is going on, everybody? It is your man, the Big Dog, and welcome to episode 60 of the Dog House. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? How's your Friday? My Friday's not that bad. I got some favors to ask you, of course. You know the drill. Give this Twitch channel a follow. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel where I post these episodes of the Doghouse and my new video series, Inner Thoughts. Here we go. Also, join the Discord. Please join the Discord. There's the link in the chat. The link will also be in the description of the YouTube video. Also, email me with comments, questions, concern. Link will be in description of the video, of course. And last but not least, friend me on Steam. Friend me on Steam. If you're a PC gamer, I'm on Steam. So. Oh, sorry about that. I got distracted. Anyway, so tonight's topic: Moon Knight. As you guys know, the series is premiering next Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday. And I am cautiously optimistic. Moon Knight is a pretty obscure character. Pretty cool in my opinion. He shares a lot of similarities to Batman. So many similarities that a lot of people call him DC's Batman. Not DC, Marvel's Batman. But, hey, what can you do? Anyway. For those of you who don't, let me show you guys one of the trailers for Moon Knight so you get an idea of what this series is. Steve. Actually, this is one of the trailers. Let me show you the official trailer. Where is... Oh, I guess we could show you guys the final trailer.
I'm losing it. I have a sleeping disorder.
Hang on. This is at 1080p, okay.
I can't tell the difference between mine and dream. Yeah.
What's wrong with you, Mark?
Why did you call me Mark? It must be very difficult.
Voice in your head. There's chaos in you. Okay, I will admit that is pretty cool. There's Khonshu. Embrace the chaos. Jesus. Is this official? Let's look at some of the comments. Wasn't a comic book guy growing up. I was familiar with the characters, blah, 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 blah. Gotta love it when... Was this fan-made? Interesting. Okay. Also, let's look at some history of this character.
Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Variant, it's finally happening. I'm giving you guys what you've wanted, the history of Moon Knight. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than Moon Knight needs his own Netflix original series or a movie. I'm your...
He's getting a series, but it's not on Netflix. I gotta admit, I'll be honest. You know what? Let me get into this now. I gotta be honest with you. The Marvel TV shows have kind of been lackluster, in my opinion. WandaVision was a dud. Falcon Winter Soldier had its moments, but was way too preachy for my liking. And what was the other one? Loki, I could not get through. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. Like, Tom Hiddleston is a great Loki, but a whole series about him just made no fucking sense to me. And then Hawkeye, don't even get me started on that. So, Moon Knight better be good. If it's not, oh my god, I'm gonna be pissed.
Your host, Aris Quinones.
You will see a
Hands
pissed
down,
off
the two most
big
requested
dog.
history of episodes have been Spawn, which I did several months ago, and a History of Moon Knight episode. And since I already did Spawn, that leaves me with Moon Knight. And don't worry, I'll get to other requested characters all in due time, but as for today, it's all about Moon Knight.
Is he standing in front of a green screen?
Moon Knight was created by writer Doug Munch and artist Don Perlin, and his appearance was in Werewolf by Night issue 32 in 1975. Originally, he appeared as an enemy of the character in a 2-issue story arc. However, Moon Knight proved to be so popular that due to reader demand, he returned to guest star in Marvel Spotlight, Spectacular Spider-Man, Marvel 2-in-1, and The Defenders, which helped define his background before he gained his own run as a backup feature in Hulk magazine. He was then finally given his own solo comic book series in 1980. Moon Knight has had several different ongoings since then, and of course has evolved quite a bit as a character, but now let's see what his comic book origin is. Moon Knight's real name is Mark Spector, and he was born in Chicago, Illinois. As an adult, Spector spends his time training to be a heavyweight boxer, a U.S. Marine, and a mercenary. He becomes a skilled combatant and best friends with the French pilot Jean-Paul Deschamps, who he calls Frenchie. While working for the African mercenary Raoul Bushman in Egypt,
Of course he calls him Frenchie. Of course he calls him Frenchie.
the group stumbles upon an archaeological dig whose crew includes Dr. Peter Alran and his daughter Marlene. The dig had uncovered an ancient temple where artifacts included a statue of the Egyptian moon god Khonshu. But of course, Bushman wants the gold that will be found at the tomb and could care less about anything else. Dr. Alran finds out about this and tries to stop him, but Bushman ends up snapping his neck. In response to Alran's murder, Spector attacks Bushman but is beaten to near death and left to die in the sub-zero temperatures of the desert night. Roman Egyptians who worship the ancient Egyptian gods find Spector and carry him to their temple. Helpless before the statue of Khonshu, Spector's heart stops. Khonshu appears to him in a vision, offering Spector a second chance at his life if he becomes the god's avatar of Earth. Spector awakens, wraps himself with the silver shroud that covers Khonshu's statue, and again confronts Bushman. After defeating Bushman, Mark returns to the US with Marlene and Frenchie, along with the statue of Khonshu. He decided to continue his work to fight the war against evil and used the savings that he had collected during his mercenary days and invested it, turning it into a small fortune, which he proceeded to finance and support his private war and set up shop in New York City. In an effort to distance himself from his mercenary days, Mark created the persona of Stephen Grant, a millionaire entrepreneur and high roller whose personality enabled him to walk among the high rollers and elites of New York City. Realizing the value of these contacts as criminal activities are often plotted and planned at cocktail parties and boardrooms, Mark also decided to create a persona for lower level contacts and invented the identity of Jake Lockley, a New York City cab driver. Through Lockley, he was able to make several contacts on the streets. So as you can clearly see, this character has a bunch of different personas, 4 to be exact. Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, Jake Lockley, and of course, Moon Knight. Juggling his different personas, eventually
Go back up.
Stephen Grant.
Oh. Thought she was nude. Damn.
Bruh.
Oh well.
And Jake Lockley, and of course, Moon Knight. Juggling his different personas eventually put a serious strain on Spector's mental health, and he suffered a nervous breakdown and was deemed to be suffering from multiple personality disorder. Shortly after developing his costume and weapons, along with a customized helicopter known as the Mooncopter, Frenchie posed as a
Imagine that.
French businessman and made a contact with a group known as the Committee. They had plans to capture Jack Russell, aka Werewolf by Night, whom they intended to use as a weapon to rule the city. And
Ironically, Werewolf by Night is also getting his own series.
this, my friends, brings us full circle because these events happened in Moon Knight's first appearance in Werewolf by Night issue 32, and Moon Knight's origin was later given to us in his own ongoing series several years later. But now I'm going to continue to elaborate on Moon Knight's first adventure in comics since we did come full circle after all. Frenchie acted as a middleman and presented the committee members with Mark Spector as a mercenary and revealed the Moon Knight costume and weapons which Frenchie claimed that he had created to battle Jack Russell. After Moon Knight was hired, he successfully defeated Russell, but when he discovered that the committee wanted to use the werewolf as a weapon, he released him and defeated the committee. And thus we have the vigilante, Moon Knight. Speaking of vigilante, a lot of people say he's Marvel's Batman, or just compare him to Batman because they have a lot of similarities.
Which is true. They do have a lot of similarities, but one thing that they don't have in common, which I believe Eris is going to get into, Moon Knight is pretty violent. Like, not only does he kill, stupid phone, he kind of enjoys it.
techniques. They're both rich, they both use gadgets to help them fight crime, and they both creep around in the shadows with their capes, fighting for justice all vigilante style. Skipping ahead a bit in Moon Knight's history, the committee hired Bushman to attack Moon Knight once again. As part of their campaign, they wanted Bushman to physically cripple him, and both Mark's legs were severely broken. I mean, just look at that. It looks like a herd of walkers were just gnawing at his knees.
Yeah, the Moon Knight comics are pretty graphic.
In any case, Bushman grew overconfident, thus leaving his guard down, so in a fit of indescribable rage, Moon Knight used one of his crescent darts to carve off Bushman's face, all Death of the Family Joker style. Unable to continue his career as Moon Knight, Mark began taking more and more painkillers and antipsychotics, burning through his fortune, and was no longer able to maintain his crumbling financial empire. Later, Spectre learns that one of the struggling companies he still retains ownership of has just made a significant technological breakthrough, and he will once again be wealthy and begins to rebuild himself and his life, finally getting himself out of his wheelchair and beginning physical therapy. It's only afterwards that Mark discovered that the Egyptian god Khonshu was responsible for the entire affair. His reputation had taken a nosedive, and so Khonshu decided to ensure his Night of Vengeance was firmly back in the saddle, nudging the committee and even arranging for Mark's wealth to be restored while reminding him who and what he is, Khonshu's Night of Vengeance. In the Marvel Now rendition of Moon Knight, Mark utilizes two personas. The first is Moon Knight, which of course we all know, but the second persona is Mr. Knight. In this persona, he's dressed in an
And this one, I believe, will be making an appearance in the series.
all-white business suit, gloves, and mask, who consults the New York Police Department and deals with common thugs and crimes such as kidnapping. And that, my friends, brings me to powers and abilities. Moon Knight possesses a wide range of skills and abilities, including military strategy and tactics, infiltration and stealth techniques, military interrogation, and torture techniques. He's also a competent pilot who can fly most types of aircrafts. He's an expert in a wide range of military firearms, including pistols, sniper rifles, and machine guns, with a marksman's rating. Moon Knight is a highly skilled combatant who is equally adept in both unarmed and armed fighting techniques. He is a former heavyweight boxing champion who has comprehensive knowledge of weak points of the human body. Moon Knight is such a skilled fighter, he even defeated Deadpool in Vengeance of Moon Knight issue 8.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And due to Moon Knight's multiple identities, he has resistance to some psychic attacks. Moon Knight also loves his weapons and gadgets, and thanks to his immense wealth, he has financed and developed numerous weapons, armored costumes, devices, specialty vehicles, and equipment as Moon Knight. He has his crescent darts, which are basically his versions of batarangs. You have his truncheon, which is his version of a grappling gun, and then he uses brass knuckles with spikes on them and a katana, and so on. Moon Knight has worn a variety of body armor over the years. His default costume for years was a full bodysuit of bulletproof Kevlar that was equipped with a two-way radio in his cowl that enabled him to maintain contact with his mooncopter. And now that I've summed up his powers and abilities, clearly he's very similar to Batman. And that, my friends, pretty much wraps up my recap of Moon Knight's history. Clearly I didn't mention every story or aspect of Moon Knight, as that would be impossible since he's been around for a very long time. But to recap everything for you, Moon Knight was a dude who was brought back to life by the Egyptian lunar god of vengeance and then became a BA vigilante with a multiple personality disorder. Boom. Recapped. But you know what time it is. It's time for me to give you some reading recommendations. You have Moon Knight Divided We Fall, Vengeance of Moon Knight Volume 1 Shock and Awe, Essential Moon...
Alright, let's, give me 1 sec. So yeah, that's Moon Knight. Actually, let's watch something else. Oh, here we go. 10 scary Moon Knight facts. Ooh. Amanda McKnight. I'm normally a brunette guy, but she can get it.
Back, Nerd Squad. As you may have heard recently, Disney Plus is slated to have a slew of new Marvel shows joining the MCU soon, including a show...
Yeah, and then so far they've all been lackluster, so... Where the hell's the button? They've all been lackluster as of right now.
For the character Moon Knight. For those unfamiliar with this character, allow us to give you an introduction. Moon Knight, also known as Mark Spector, was introduced... Let's get counting.
Alright.
Number 10. He died. He got his powers while working as a mercenary for hire
Well, we kind of know that already.
for a man named Raoul Bushman, who was looking for an Egyptian tomb. Bushman was a ruthless sort, enjoying the violence he brought to others and killing people to try and find what he wanted. Mark did not enjoy this side of Bushman and punched Bushman after he killed the archaeologist on the expedition, Peter Alrun, in an attempt to protect Peter's daughter, Marlene. During this fight, Bushman ended up getting the upper hand and left him for dead. Fortunately, he was able to make his way back to the tomb, but before he went unconscious. Marlene and the rest of the exploration team carried his body into the tomb and laid him out below an idol belonging to an Egyptian god, Khonshu. Mark had a vision involving Khonshu, who promised him life in exchange for his loyalty to the god and commitment to do Khonshu's bidding. Mark accepted. Later, Spectre would ponder that he had simply been having near-death hallucinations. Ooh, spooky. Number 9.
Yeah, don't do that.
Military service. Before he was Moon Knight, Mark Spector served in the military as a Marine and even went to Iraq. Well, you might not think this is scary, war is actually terrifying. To add to this intensity
Okay.
of his service, he also began having episodes while on tour. Mark actually suffers from dissociative personality disorder, but we'll touch more on that later. He at one point is shown in the comics coming to after seeming to have wandered outside of the military camp, following a voice that called to him in the dark under the full moon. Not only is this in and of itself terrifying, as it could have compromised his fellow soldiers' safety, but concern is expressed by those who leave the camp to find him when they tell him he has actually walked into a minefield. Boom. Number 8. Ol' Uncle Nazi. Yitz Perlman was a close family friend and rabbi who had fled Germany with Spectre's family. Oh yeah, Mark is also Jewish. But it is later revealed in a
Yeah, that is a thing, actually.
flashback in the comics that Yitz Perlman, who has been a family friend of the Spectre since Elias, Mark's father, was just a kid, is actually not who he appears to be. Mark ends up in an area of the synagogue he is not meant to be in and falls down through a trap door leading into the basement. Further into the basement. He was meant to meet Yitz, who he fondly refers to as Uncle Yitz later in the evening. Yitz is also down in this basement in the dark, and upon Mark stumbling in, decides to reveal his true identity. He lights a match to reveal a bloody corpse hanging from the ceiling
Oh, Jesus. That's pretty graphic.
and offers Mark the prompt: a rabbi, a Nazi, and a serial killer walk into a bar. Yitz Perlman was actually the
Jesus.
adopted identity that allowed Ernst, the man's real name, to escape Germany as Hitler's reign was coming to an end and avoid prosecution as a Nazi. And as he suggests, he is also a serial killer. This revelation would scar Mark for the rest of his life and leads into our next scary fact. Number 7. Multiple personalities. The traumatic revelation of finding out that his Uncle Yitz was actually a Nazi and serial killer ended up traumatizing Mark to the point that he developed a dissociative personality disorder, which, I mean, is fair. If I found out that my uncle was a Nazi and a serial killer, I probably would want to take a break from being myself too. For those who don't know, dissociative personality disorder, also sometimes referred to as dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder, is a condition where the afflicted alternates between at least 2 different personality states. The condition is also usually accompanied by blackouts and gaps in one's memory, meaning you can adopt another personality and go about your life in that separate identity or state, and then potentially forget what you were doing or have done. Pretty spooky stuff. And Mark doesn't just have 2 alternate personalities, no, he is a revolving door of 10 personalities, including Jake Lockley, cab driver, and Stephen Grant, millionaire. The fact that he is also capable of transitioning between them so quickly also makes it hard for him to settle down in life. Number 6. He has a kid. While admittedly having children isn't very scary, having a child while also suffering severely
You had a kid? What? Now this I didn't know. Interesting.
from dissociative identity disorder can be. I also think the premise of having a child and being fully responsible for a life is objectively terrifying, but that's just me. Remember Marlene from the Egyptian expedition gone wrong that strengthened his bond to Khonshu? Her and Mark have an on and off again romance in the comics. Kind of to be expected, considering their shared trauma. Well, the two have never quite been able to make it stick due to the fact that Mark's crime-fighting persona Moon Knight means putting Marlene constantly in danger, and the fact that he is constantly jumping from one of his personalities to the next. There is a time when they actually managed to settle down for a while. During this time, the two conceived a child, and Marlene gave birth to a daughter who is named Diatrice in the comics. Diatrice Alron, she took her mother's last name. The really odd and scary thing is that she's not really fully Mark's daughter. At the time that they settled down, Mark was living as his personality Jake Lockley, and it was because he settled into this personality for such a lengthy period that he and Marlene were even able to make the relationship work. So is Diatrice really even Mark's daughter? I don't know. Sounds like she's more Jake's daughter, I guess.
Oh, Jesus, not this.
Yes. Number
Oh,
5,
boy.
Khonshu. You might not think the Egyptian god of the moon Khonshu is a particularly frightening figure, especially since Khonshu is the one granting Mark his powers, but Is he? Later in the comics, it is revealed that Khonshu seeks to drive Mark insane so that he can use his body as a vessel to enter the realm of the living. While this ends up being untrue, what is implied instead is even more terrifying. It is implied that Khonshu is simply an illusion that was created to help cure Mark. Ultimately, he recognizes that in order to gain control of himself and his personalities, he must accept them. In doing so, he gains control again and regains his sanity. One of those, ooh, it was all a dream type scenarios. Number 4, Morpheus. No, not that Morpheus.
Damn it.
We are instead talking about one of Moon Knight's villains, Robert Markham. To really understand the darker side of this character, it's good to get into the mind of those he fights and also the way Mark
Jesus, that is a terrifying fucking image. I mean, my god.
grapples with his demons, not just his internal demons either. Robert Markham was suffering from a rare viral disease and sought help. From there, he became a patient of Peter Alrune Jr., brother of Marlene Alrune and son of the original Peter Alrune. Sorry if I'm saying this last name really wrong. My apologies. The experimental drug that Peter Jr. prescribes leads to Robert being unable to sleep and developing psionic abilities. Oh, and he also becomes a boogeyman monster-looking type with like
Fucking hell.
claw hands. It's creepy. He ends up being thwarted by
That is
Moon Knight the
hell
first time, but returns to his villainous ways after mutating even further, allowing himself to link his mind with Peter Jr.'s and use it to project nightmares into other people's minds. Hence his name Morpheus, which is actually adopted from Greek mythology, where Morpheus is known as the god of dreams. Not from the Matrix, unfortunately, in case you thought that was where I was going. But oddly enough, the same source that the writers for the Matrix probably were inspired by for their character of the same name. Number 3, addiction. Like most heroes, he has also suffered from an addiction. His is one that is actually also a huge global issue in the real world currently, an addiction to painkillers. This
Yep.
happened as a result of a battle between him and Bushman that left him crippled with 2 broken knees. Obviously needing the medication while healing, he ended up developing an addiction to them. Like Mark, doesn't have enough issues to worry about. He sees things, has illusions, was friends with a Nazi, and wrestles with multiple personalities, and fights crime on top of that. And then he also has to wrestle with an addiction? Oh, talk about a rough go. Number 2, his brother is a serial killer. Everywhere you look with Moon Knight, there are just serial killers everywhere, and you definitely don't have to look far
Oh yeah, I forgot what his brother's villain name was. I think it was like Shadow Knight or something.
for this one. Randall Spector is Mark Spector's brother, who after betraying him by killing his girlfriend and getting blown up by Mark with a grenade, became a serial killer of nurses. Oddly specific. He currently goes by the name Shadow Knight, and his costume and look is also quite terrifying as well. Definitely not someone you'd want to meet in a dark alley. He is part of the cult of Khonshu and was granted superhuman strength and durability by Princess Nephthys, who was also once his lover. Number 1, brutality. Bushman has obviously been one of Mark's greatest foes throughout the comics, and as a result of such, their fights have been legendary. These fights have also gone to show just how different Mark Spector really is from DC's Batman. Batman can be
Yep, like I said. Like, yeah, Batman gets brutal, but not this brutal.
brutal too, sure, but there's Batman level brutal, and then there's Moon Knight's level of brutal. For an example of just how violent Moon Knight can be, and as an example of how he really sees himself as the one doling out justice, I point you to Moon Knight Volume 5, Issue 2.
Oh,
This is also the fight where Moon Knight shatters both his knees, but even while down, he keeps on fighting, and gruesomely too. He manages to cut off Bushman's face using the blade on his crescent moon dart. I don't think I've ever seen Batman quite do that. Thanks so much for watching, Nerds
no, he hasn't.
Squad. Hopefully you found some of these Moon Knight facts scary. To be honest, Moon Knight's entire story could be spun as a horror story of sorts. So
Yeah, I know. But I will say this about Moon Knight and about the Moon Knight series. I really, really hope they keep in line with his brutality. Like, if they just make him like a Batman carbon copy, I'm not going to be happy. Like, yes, he's very similar to Batman, but like I said, he is fucking brutal. Like, let me see if I can't pull up that panel. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Moon Knight. Shit. I gotta get used to using this keyboard. Moon Knight. Cuts face off. Here we go. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. Come on, come on. Ah, fuck. Son of a bitch. I can't find it. At the very least, I can't find the picture I want. Okay, here we go. Can I blow that up? There we go. There we go. Alright. And there it is. My man really did this.
Bruh.
My man really cut off his mortal enemy's face. When's the last time you saw Batman do something like that? I mean, he did brand one of his... But yeah, no. Moon Knight is a violent motherfucker. He is a violent fuck. But, yeah, like I said, if this series isn't good, you're gonna hear about it. What I'll probably do is maybe I'll do like a video. Let me know what you guys think. Should I start doing like video reviews where I review series or review like episodes? What do you guys think? Let me know. Leave your comments in the chat or in the comment section of the YouTube video when it comes out. But yeah, that will be it for tonight. Thank you everybody. This has been episode 60 of the Doghouse, and I will see you next time. Peace out.